Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube NFL prediction segment, I'm going to be giving you my picks and analysis for Week 13 of the 2017 NFL season. Anyway, first game, I'm going to take the Washington Redskins on the road to defeat the Dallas Cowboys. Washington, despite being decimated with injuries, they've actually been playing well. They're not winning all their games. I mean, I know they win some, they lose some, but they have been competitive. They got Zach Brown, #1 in tackles, one of the few bright spots besides Kirk Cousins this season. You look at Dallas, they're the team that looks, I mean, they're playing like they're ravaged with injuries. I know they lost Ezekiel Elliott, obviously a strong proponent on the team, but their offense is just so completely out of sync. They've lost 3 consecutive games. They have 22 points total in 3 games right now. I don't see how it's going to get much better in this game. Washington lost to Dallas earlier this season. I think they're going to be seeking retribution in this one. They got to take advantage and capitalize on Ezekiel Elliott not being there. I expect Washington to play very well in this game. I expect them to win. I like the Redskins on the road. Next game, I'm going to take the Atlanta Falcons at home over the Minnesota Vikings. Atlanta has won 4 or 5 games. It looks like right now, Julio Jones, Matt Ryan, the offensive coordinator, everybody is really on the same page, playing very cohesively. You look at Minnesota, though. Minnesota is playing lights out. Won 7 consecutive games. They've only allowed 12 sacks in this game. They've only allowed 12 sacks on the season. They're 4-1 on the road this season. Whether it's quarterback Casey Keenum, who I think is probably going to start, or whoever it's going to be, it doesn't seem like it's going to make much difference. This team just seems to play very well together in all phases. And I mean, I'm actually starting to become a believer in the Vikings. I wouldn't be surprised if they pulled off this victory. But I think Atlanta right now is just starting to gel at the right time, and they're starting to look like that team last season that made it to the Super Bowl. I'm going to take Atlanta in a close one at home. Next game, I'm going to take the New England Patriots on the road to defeat the Buffalo Bills. New England is a flawless 5-0 on the road this season. They're #1 in passing yards per game. I know they're one of the worst total defenses in the league. However, they're a very situational defensive team. They have the bend but don't break philosophy. They make the plays when they have to. They don't allow, I mean, in the last 7 games, their defense has really stepped up big time, and it makes the plays when it has to, and they don't allow many points. You look at Buffalo has lost 3 of 4 to the Patriots, 9 of the last 11. The Patriots have dominated the series. Buffalo has played very well at home, 4-1 at home this season. Tyrod Taylor will probably have a decent game, but it's not going to be enough because New England is just playing so well right now. They look like they're right in Super Bowl form. I like the Patriots to win on the road. Next game, I like the Chicago Bears at home over the San Francisco 49ers. I mean, it's really about which team is just a little bit worse than the other. Chicago and 49ers, both teams are not playing well, obviously. Chicago is a little better average time of possession than San Francisco, number 29 in the league, compared to the 49ers at number 32. Chicago has lost 4 consecutive games. They have been on a little bit of a losing streak. However, they're number 8 in rushing yards per game. I expect running back Jordan Howard to have a very good game against that San Francisco run defense that is not very good, which is ranked number 30 in the NFL right now in terms of rushing yards allowed per game. I like Chicago to take this at home. Next game, well, I'm reluctantly going to take the Green Bay Packers to win at home over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Green Bay, of course, is still without Aaron Rodgers. They played Pittsburgh very well last week, did everything but defeat the Steelers. I think they got a little bit of confidence and swagger going after that, after doing everything but beating the Steelers last week. I think the quarterback on the team is starting to find his rhythm. You look at Tampa Bay, just 1-5 on the road this season. They are number 32 in defensive sacks, and they're dead last in passing yards allowed per game. I think Green Bay at home, they're going to be able to move the football well and sustain enough drives to get this victory. Tampa Bay has just been a strong underachiever this season, and now going on the road to play the Packers, where the Packers are in a really desperation mode at this time in front of their home crowd. I do like them to win this game. I like Green Bay at home. Next game. I'm going to take the Tennessee Titans to win over the Houston Texans. Tennessee, right now, obviously, they're going to be seeking retribution after they got plastered by Houston earlier this season. They're 4-1 at home this season. They've won 5 of 6. You look at Tennessee. In that game, if I remember correctly, they did not, when they got annihilated by Houston earlier this season, they didn't have Marcus Mariota, I don't believe. And in this particular game, Houston, obviously, another team ravaged with injuries, just 1-4 on the road this season. They've lost 4 or 5. And they have a number of injuries, which include, of course, Deshaun Watson and J.J. Watt. This is going to be a game, I think, a much different outcome. Tennessee was completely humiliated and obliterated in that game. And Tennessee, now, they know they got a good chance to win this division and make the postseason, and they need to win, likely to stay pace with the Jaguars, because the Jaguars are likely going to win their game against the Browns on Sunday as well. So anyway, I do like the Titans to get this done at home. I like the Titans to win. So anyway, next game, I'm going to take the Miami Dolphins to prevail over the Denver Broncos. Both these teams are really, have really played horrible over the last month of the season. You look at Miami, of course, losing Jay Ajayi has not helped them. They've lost 5 straight games. I think wide receiver Jarvis Landry could have a good game against Denver. Denver's defense is not what it once was. They've lost 7 consecutive games. Their total defense is not bad, it's very good, but they're giving up like 25-something a game right now, 25-point-something a game. Cornerback Aqib Talib is going to be out, and this is going to help, I think, the receivers on the Dolphins to get going. And it'll probably be a close game because neither one of these teams are playing very well. But I think the absence of Talib is going to figure prominently in the outcome in this. And I do like Miami being at home. I like the Dolphins to win at home. Next game. Well, this is a really tough game. Jets are at home against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm going to take the New York Jets to win this one. The Jets, in their home games this season, they've either won or have had a competitive game in which they lost. Now, you look at both these teams, neither one of these teams have played well of late. Jets have lost 5 of 6. Kansas City's lost 3 consecutive games. Kansas City, look nearly invincible. I think they won their first 5 games, and remember, they throttled New England at New England. They really took it to them, and a number of people after even that one game. And even I was looking at them as a possible Super Bowl contender at that point. And then, they're just falling apart. They can't get their big plays on offense. They're looking at this right. I'm looking at this right now, and from an offensive standpoint, okay, the Jets have scored 71 points in their last 3 games. Kansas City just 36, which is about half of what the Jets have done in that span. Will Kansas City make a quarterback change? Andy Reid says last I had heard, he's not planning on doing it. Kansas City has had 2 straight demoralizing losses. They know this is a must game in a way for them, I think, at this point of the season. But the thing is, the Kansas City offense has not done anything recently, and at least the Jets offense has. I'm going to take the Jets to win at home. Next game. I'm going to take the Jacksonville Jaguars to win at home over the Indianapolis Colts. You look at the Jaguars right now, especially on a defensive end. Defensively, they have been phenomenal. They're number 1 in defensive sacks with 41. They are also, they are the number 1 scoring defense in the NFL as well. They dismantled the Colts earlier this season, 27-0, and they didn't even have Leonard. I don't think they had Leonard Fournette in that game, and he's going to, and he's going likely be in this one. So, and being at home, and you look at Indianapolis, number 32 in scoring defense. They're another team that's been decimated with injuries. They have number 1 in sacks allowed, so they're going up against the best defensive sacks team in the league, and they've given up the most in the NFL. It doesn't bode well. I think Jacksonville is going to win that battle right there in the trenches. Their front defensive team side against the Indy offensive line, I think they're going to dominate that particular side. Cornerback Rashawn Melvin likely is going to be out and for Indy, and that's going to add insult to abject misery because they already are decimated with injuries. I like Jacksonville to win this one at home. Next game, I'm going to take the Baltimore Ravens reluctantly to win at home over the Detroit Lions. I understand Baltimore's wins, basically, I mean, a lot of them are coming against teams that don't have, the best quarterback situation, but you look at this one, it seems like Baltimore's defense is coming around. Is it the ravenous defense of old? Maybe not, but it is right up there in scoring defense. They are right now, 3-2 at home. I think a lot of the reason I'm picking Baltimore too is because their defense has been a little bit more consistent than Detroit's. Detroit's been a little bit more sporadic and erratic. Detroit, though, has posted a good, very solid 4-1 record on the road. They'll likely make this game very close. Detroit is number 1 in punt return average in the league, and Baltimore is number 2. So this game, when it comes right down to it, I think it comes down to Baltimore's defense being playing a little bit better than the Lions, and coupled with the fact, as far as the field position is going to figure very strong in this game, more than a lot of these other games, I believe, and that's going to be pretty much about even, I think. But I think the defense of Baltimore is ultimately what's going to get it done. So I'm going to take the Ravens to win at home in a close one over the Lions. Next game, I'm going to take the Los Angeles Chargers to win at home over the Cleveland Browns. Now, the Chargers are right up there in defensive sacks. They're playing about as good as anybody right now. They've won the last 2 games. They've scored 82 points in that period. Quarterback Philip Rivers, you always got a shot when he plays. He just plays well. It seems like no matter what the circumstances or what adversity he's facing in the game. The Cleveland Browns right now, they're just 1-29 in their last 30 games, 1-16 on the road since 2015. They're also -17 in turnover differential, which is the worst in the NFL. And their scoring offense is, absolutely abysmal. They are only averaging about 15 points per game. They just can't generate any offense. And the Chargers have definitely shown a strong ability to do so in recent weeks. I like the Chargers to get this done at home. I like LA Chargers to win home. Next game, I'm going to take the Oakland Raiders to win at home over the New York Giants. Wide receiver Michael Crabtree, he likely won't play unless he gets some appeal and wins it. He might stall the suspension, but he is suspended for 2 games. And in this particular game, it's really about, you look at these 2 offenses, Oakland Giants, neither one is great, but Oakland is averaging 20.5 points per game to the Giants 15.6. The Giants right now are just in complete disarray. They're in a mess. From what I understand, they're going to start Geno Smith, and they took Eli Manning out of there. And when it comes down to that point, you just don't know. It's almost like desperation mode for the G-men, unfortunately. It's one of my teams, but, they really have not met expectations, and that would be a vast understatement. They're just 1-5 on the road this season. They're also one of the worst pass defenses in the NFL. They're number 29 in passing yards allowed per game. And I think, whether Michael Crabtree plays or not, the Oakland Raiders got enough weapons on offense, including, of course, Amari Cooper, to get this done against the Giants' pass defense, which is just, really deplorable. So I like Oakland to win at home. Next game, I'm going to take New Orleans Saints to win at home over the Carolina Panthers. New Orleans right now. I mean, they destroyed Carolina earlier this season, 34-13. It was in week 3. And interesting that they got that win after a loss. And what happened last week? They lost to the Rams. I expect them to do the same thing, bounce back and win this one. Now, their cornerback situation obviously is not great. If one of the two that were injured last week comes back, I'm being optimistic. I also feel one of the two anyway will likely be back. I think a lot of the outcome strongly could be predicated on their status in that game. Now, Carolina, one of the better road teams in the NFL, 5-1 on the road this season. They are number 1 in time of possession. So if they're, that they win that time of possession battle, they definitely have a good shot to come out and get this victory. They've won 4 straight games. A number of people, I believe, think Carolina is could be the most dangerous team in the NFL right now. They're starting to click on all cylinders. And when Cam Newton, of course, when he gets that protection and that time to throw, he's a completely different player. I think in this game, though, I expect Drew Brees and company to bounce back from that loss last week. I think the running game is going to play very well. And I do think one of the cornerbacks will be back for New Orleans. And I think that will be enough for them to get this victory over Carolina. So I like the Saints to win this one at home. Next game. Well, I like the Rams to win on the road over the Arizona Cardinals. The Rams, right now, they're number 2 scoring offense. Right now, 4-1 on the road this season. Interesting stat for them. The Rams actually, they have the best average starting field position in all football. They start off on average at about the 32-yard line on their offensive drives. So anyway, Arizona right now, I mean, they've got 4 of their 5 wins have been against really lackluster teams. I don't think running back David Johnson is going to play. And we're going to see what quarterback is going to play for Arizona. But the thing about it is, I think last week their win against Jacksonville was more of an aberration than what could be a norm for this team. And the Rams right now are going in. And the Rams strike me as a team that they're just not going to fall apart. They're going to stay focused. I don't see them really going into any great long, any period where they're going to lose too many, games consecutively. And they came back. They won last week after losing the week before. And I don't think they're just, they're going to go in there and lose this game and be like, say, well, we lost 2 out of 3. I just don't think they're going to be doing that. I think this is a team that's very consistent and in terms of their attitude, and I think, in their winning mentality, and I think it will continue in this one. And I like the Rams and Todd Gurley and company to get it done against Arizona. The Arizona Cardinals are hardly, I think they're like dead last in rushing yards per game. And I think the Rams' run defense will play well enough to contain them. So I like the Rams to win on the road. Next game. I'm going to take the Philadelphia Eagles to win on the road over the Seattle Seahawks. Philadelphia right now, I mean, there's not enough superlatives that could be said about this team. They're playing really, they look like about the best team in the NFL right now. This side of the, New England Patriots, they've won 9 consecutive games. They're averaging about 32 points per game. I mean, their run defense has been phenomenal. They're only giving up about 65 yards per game on the ground. They're right up there in defensive interceptions with 16, and they are 4-1 on the road this season. Now, Seattle, of course, still without Richard Sherman and Cam Chancellor. Quarterback Russell Wilson might have to try to win this game with his legs, but the problem is that Philadelphia run defense is just going to be too good. They will be. I do see them being able to win that battle against the running attack of Seattle, which includes the quarterback Russell Wilson. I think that's going to really play an integral role in the outcome of this football game. Seattle, I mean, there was a time when they were nearly invincible at home, but Seattle has lost that edge a little bit at home. And when you have a good team going in there now, there's a little bit more, I think, of an expectation of that team being able to go in and win it. And I like Philadelphia to win on the road in this one. So next game. Last but not least, I'm going to take the Pittsburgh Steelers to win on the road against the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, the Pittsburgh Steelers, I mean, they've dominated the series against the Bengals in recent time. They have won 6 straight. Running back Le'Veon Bell, wide receiver Antonio Brown, they're playing lights out. They're averaging, I mean, right now, their offense is such where it's not great, but it's definitely better than the Bengals. The Steelers are averaging about 23.5 points per game. Cincy is just averaging about 18 points per game right now. You look at in this as far as Cincinnati and Pittsburgh goes in recent time, as I stated before, Pittsburgh has dominated the series recently. Cincy has lost 5 straight to Pittsburgh and 8 of 9 overall. Now, the thing about it is what Cincinnati has some hope for and optimism is the fact that Pittsburgh did barely get by Green Bay in that one, and now Pittsburgh's got to go on the road. And I think when you look at it, Cincinnati actually has the capability of making this a competitive game, and also given the fact that it is a divisional game. But that being said, Cincinnati, their offense is just so putrid. It's not just that they're one of the worst teams in scoring offense, averaging about 18 points per game, but they're also number 32 in total offense. It's just going to be about sustaining drives, getting yardage, and I just don't think they're going to be able to get enough against the Steelers, who are playing at a very high level right now. So anyway, I'm going to take Pittsburgh to win on the road. Anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube NFL prediction segment for my NFL picks for Week 13 of the 2017 season. And until next time, people, Edwin Learnard saying stay well.